Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Calling in right now is the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, and so many good things are happening in energy, and we'll talk about it. But particularly today, he happens to be in New York, and they made a big announcement that there's a new gas pipeline has been approved, I believe, and coming through. Mr. Secretary, would you tell us what's going on in New York today and the big announcement you made?
You bet, John. Today was a great day for New York and New Yorkers. I'm here in Long Island right now, and we just broke the ground on a new natural gas pipeline that'll come from Pennsylvania, where there's a ton of shale gas. There's a lot of shale gas in New York, too, but the government hasn't let it been developed yet. But that pipeline will go through New Jersey, under New York Harbor, and into Brooklyn. But this new natural gas supply will help dramatically push down electricity prices for people in New York City and on Long Island. It'll allow people's home heating that want to switch from home heating oil to natural gas heating, also much cheaper. And it'll make the electricity grid more resilient. You know, that cold period we had at the end of January, beginning of February, we pushed the New York electricity grid almost to the failure point. We don't want blackouts. We don't want high prices. Today was a big step forward in that fight.
Is there any difficulties like there have been in the past with moving the pipelines and getting the pipelines done? And give us your pulse on the timeline that this is going to happen in.
Yeah, you bet. So look, this was a project that was tried to be constructed 8 or 9 years ago. And then Governor Cuomo opposed and prevented this pipeline from being built. Could probably save $1,000 for families that switch their home heating. And Governor Cuomo stopped this pipeline from being built. President Trump came into office and said, Chris, New York and New England have very expensive electricity prices. That's not right. They have expensive heating prices. What are we going to do about it? And so we brought them 2 projects. The pipeline we just broke ground on today. So it started construction today. It'll be in service by late next year. So by the winter of 27-28, we'll be able to have more secure electricity supply and lower prices here. The second project that we want to do in New York State is a pipeline called the Constitution Pipeline, also blocked by Governor Cuomo, and it would go from Pennsylvania through upstate New York and then connect into New England. But this would allow the expansion of new factories, data centers if wanted, new manufacturing in New York, and lower heating prices, lower electricity prices. No reason not to do this stuff except for New York politicians. President Trump and the administration have been pushing back against the government in New York and the governors in New England, although New England governors have now come on board that, yeah, this expensive energy stuff, maybe we've had enough of that. We got to go a positive direction. But we still have political battles in New York, which is why local politicians in New York and the United States House of Representatives in New York matter a lot to our energy crusade. We want lower costs, more job opportunities.
I know
the Democrats want the opposite.
Unfortunately, you're right. They've signed some contracts with these windmills that I've talked to President Trump about it many times, that these windmills along the Atlantic coast theoretically are supposed to be environmental as anti-environmental. And I spoke to Lee Zeldin about it too, and Doug Burgum, Secretary Burgum. And what's going to happen is it's going to increase the price of electricity in our state.
Yeah, these are, if you look over in the United Kingdom and Germany and Denmark, they are the countries that have gone all in on offshore wind, and they're 3 highest electricity prices in the world. That's what happens when you build offshore wind. Because the problem is the wind doesn't always blow. And at peak demand times is often during these weather systems called high pressure systems, there is no wind. And that's when you need electricity the most. So who needs an electricity source that doesn't work when you need it the most? It's also very expensive. And as you just said, it takes a huge amount of the ocean up. You have giant hulking turbines and pile driving in the ocean floor that's been very destructive for the whales and the fisheries. And in fact, the thing that's concerned us the most is the national defense implications of these offshore wind turbines. If you look at the Russia-Ukraine war, it's dominated by drones. If you wanted to bring a swarm of drones into the United States East Coast, offshore wind farms would be the perfect way to fly in. You wouldn't be able to detect them on radar because of all these spinning offshore wind turbines. So the administration is very worried about that. We're trying to see, can you mitigate that, or is this an unmitigable national security desire? But even beyond the national security issues, they mean expensive, unreliable electricity. But for some crazy reason, they became politically popular among Democrats and among environmental groups that aren't really looking at the math of the environmental benefits versus energy. They're not better for the environment, and they're worse for energy.
Absolutely correct. What else would you like to tell all New Yorkers and all Americans?
What I'd like to tell all New Yorkers, because one of the things that gets confused, President Trump, he got elected to represent 342 million Americans. He doesn't care if you live in New York City, or bright red Texas. He's passionate about all Americans across the country. I've spent a lot of my time California, New York, New England, places with high electricity prices and high energy costs. They're all fixable because they are political decisions that were made. Change the politicians, change the decisions that are made, and you too can have affordable energy and a growing supply of energy so new businesses can open. Your kids can pay lower energy bills than you did. He's a believer in the American dream, and it's very hard to have the American dream if you have expensive, unreliable energy. Low-cost, reliable, affordable, secure energy, that's the road to the American dream. That's the road to lower prices and higher wages.
Well, I pray for that because New York is becoming unaffordable, and we're losing a lot of businesses in New York and New York City and in New York State. And thank you, Mr. Secretary, for everything you're doing. And God bless you, and God bless America, and God bless President Trump for doing what he's doing. And let's catch up again real soon.
God bless you, John, for your fight to set New Yorkers free and bring better life opportunities for all of them. You've been a great voice for that for years, and always an honor to be talking to you.